Welcome back. You're watching To The Point. The ramifications of its crushing electoral defeat continue to tear the Congress party apart. It's now emerged that there could be a sharp and damaging divide over Rahul Gandhi, the party vice president. After a spate of comments by senior leaders that were critical of Mr. Gandhi, several of his younger colleagues have criticized their seniors for speaking out of turn and breaching the Lakshman Rekha of discipline. So is Rahul Gandhi dividing rather than uniting his party? Unfortunately, no one from Congress is willing to speak on this subject. I have, however, four of the country's top journalists. They are the former editor-in-chief of the Times of India, Dilip Podgaonkar, the political editor of The Hindu, Smita Gupta, the well-known television journalist Nalini Singh, and the chairman of APCA, Badshah Sen. Badshah Sen, perhaps as many as 16 young Congress secretaries who are close to Rahul Gandhi have met and expressed concern about direct or oblique criticism of Rahul Gandhi by senior members of their own party. In your eyes, is this just defense of Rahul, or could they be worried about a problem that goes further and deeper?
I would suspect the latter because, first of all, these 16, I think the secretaries of there's 16 out of 42, I think, the total number of secretaries. I think the 16 really, if you look at it, how many battalions do they command, quite frankly? How many votes can they get for that
You
party?
sound like Stalin now.
Yes, well, or even Genghis Khan, perhaps. So the point is, they really are lightweights. And I don't know how much of an issue that they'll make within the party. The fact remains, it's a sign. There seems to be a sort of nervousness in what one would loosely call the Rahul camp. And I think it's going to become larger and larger rather than sort of calm down and settle.
Before I go to Smita, do you suspect that these 16 who are close to Rahul have in a sense his endorsement and backing? Is he aware of what they were doing? Would he approve of it?
It'd be difficult to tell because it's very difficult to tell which way Rahul thinks, if he thinks at all, quite frankly. The point is, there is a growing, this is something the Congress has faced before, Karan. The most obvious was 1978, when 1977 they lost the post-emergency election.
So it's cyclical.
It's cyclical, and this time they've got 44. At that time, at least they had 153 seats.
So the problem
and still
is
Indira Gandhi lost control of most of the party.
Smita Gupta, several members of this group have said that the seniors have crossed what they call a Lakshman Rekha of discipline. Others have said that the leaders should not speak out of turn. Does that suggest some sort of divide? I hesitate to use the word split, but some sort of divide within the party?
I don't think there's any split because as Badshah pointed out, none of these people, they are really groupies. They are not even supporters, none of them can even bring a few votes to the party. I think what has happened is that there is a certain resistance. There is going to be a generational shift at some point, and there are some of the senior leaders who are trying to put off that day. So these young people have got together and spoken out. Today, of course, Rahul himself has responded to it in Amethi, where he said, he kind of brushed it aside, saying there are multiple voices in every organization and we will sort it out.
Brush it aside he would. But your earlier analysis that the elders are trying to avoid a generational split and the young are very keen to ensure that it happens, to me suggests there is a divide. There's a divide over precisely that point.
Yeah, but I don't know whether it's young versus old, because even among the older people, Madhusudan Mistry last week said he also ticked off, and he is
But it doesn't matter whether it's young versus old. The point is that there is a divide over which people are polarizing.
That there is.
That there is. Nalini Singh, let me put it the other way around. Digvijay Singh has told the Indian Express that Rahul's silence on critical issues contributed to the defeat in what he calls the war of perceptions. Others like T.H. Mustafa have called Rahul a joker. Milan Deora criticized his advisors. Kishore Chandra Deo spoke colourfully of rootless wonders and spineless creepers. Many people believe that actually these comments are absolutely true because they believe them to be accurate. But the point is, should these things have been said by these people in public?
Absolutely, because I think...
Absolutely yes or
yes,
no?
Absolutely yes. Because this standoff actually dates back about 9 months. The Congress party was hammered in 4 assembly elections, which was actually the litmus test for Rahul Gandhi and his team. They are the ones who selected the candidates, they managed the entire campaign, and then they lost. And when they lost, Rahul Gandhi said that now I think it is time for us to, as a party, to be thinking of the question of empowerment. And then he said that I've been talking about this in the party, and I know what I'm saying is,
why does this argument support the answer absolutely yes?
Totally obtuse. What he was saying was incoherent. That he said we should create more space.
Just a moment. Before you get lost in details, why does that support your answer that absolutely yes, these people should have spoken in public?
Because if the reins have been passed on to the vice president, who has then constituted his name, he's put his stamp on the party. After that, you are hammered. After that, the analysis is not inflation or something else. It is this obtuse thinking.
But why in public is the point I'm asking you? Why not behind closed doors?
Because they were not getting through. They were not getting through to the high command.
So frustration justifies going public?
Well, certainly going public was a method they used, mechanism.
Dilip Patgankar, let me put to you something that many would consider even more striking, possibly one could use the word more damaging, said by Digvijay Singh to the Indian Express, and I'm going to quote him. The unfortunate part, he says, is that a 63-year-old leader attracts a youth audience while a 44-year-old cannot attract them. Now, going by the election results, that's undeniable. But should Digvijay Singh, a senior general secretary of the party, have made this comment publicly to a newspaper so that it's flashed across the front pages, or should he have said it in party circles behind closed doors?
I'll respond with another question. What does the Congress president think of all these developments? She has remained coldly silent on each one of these statements that have been made. And in the end, it is what she thinks that's going to matter, because the Congress has now come to a stage where either the core, which is the Gandhi family, remains intact and tries to keep the flock together, or there is something that happens within the core, that stay within the Congress for it to move towards a split. I don't see this happening. I don't see the young, the next generation with Rahul staging any kind of dissent against the leadership, and I don't see either the old guard staging any kind of revolt against the leadership. The Congress president has to take the call, and she is remaining completely silent. The fact, Karan, is that the old Congress is dying, and the new Congress is struggling to be born. You're going to get this shadow boxing going on and on over the next few months. The outcome will really depend on what the fate of the Congress party is going to be as far as this large party of the country is concerned. And here, I think several options are open.
Okay.
I'm going to be a bit cautious. I'm going to say so long as Sonia Gandhi and her two children remain together, there is no possibility of a split in the Congress in the months to come.
You know, the interesting part is the question that Dilip raised. Why is the Congress party silent, the president silent, while this is happening? Is she silent because it concerns her son and therefore it's embarrassing for her to speak out and take one side or the other? That would be understandable. Is she silent because perhaps she agrees with her son's critics, but she can't say so publicly because that would be embarrassing? Is she silent because she can't work out what to do? What do you think the answer is?
It's very difficult to tell, but I have a feeling that it would be a mixture of that. Certainly that she doesn't know what to do, quite frankly, and possibly also because it's her son. The fact remains is that Digvijay Singh, whom you quoted just now, was at one point of time, as we came onto the elections, a very strong advocate of Rahul Gandhi. He was often described as his foremost advisor. Now, the fact that that same Digvijay Singh is taking this this position somewhat considerably different from what he occupied earlier, the position, suggests that at last, as we would expect in a democratic party of the sort of the Congress with a history, questions need to be asked. I don't think at this moment of time Sonia Gandhi should be saying yay or nay to anything. At least questions need to be asked, and better late than never. And that's what seems to be happening.
Okay, let me widen the discussion a little, Smita. Regardless of the question whether these people were right to go public or not, does it not indicate fairly decisively that within Congress there is deep and legitimate concern, A, about Rahul Gandhi's commitment to be a strong, decisive, assertive leader, and B, to his capacity and ability to do that? both commitment and ability seem to be issues that Congress is worried about at the moment.
Certainly. You see, I think I'll go along with what Dilip said, that the new party hasn't been born. The idea before the election, the sentiment was that after these elections, they expected to lose, but they didn't expect to be reduced to 44. There was going to be a kind of handing over. That handing over has not taken place, because after the results came in, a majority of people who met Mrs. Gandhi and a lot of people from around the country in the party met her, and they asked her that she should continue to head the party, and I mean obliquely
no
or directly.
handing over, we have a handing back.
Yeah. Now, after the next thing that should have happened is there should have been an open discussion within the party. There has been no open discussion. The Antony Committee is, no solution. So I think you're seeing frustration among different members, whether they're the older ones, the younger ones, they're all speaking out. And Mrs. Gandhi is not going to speak at this moment.
Why do you say that so decisively?
Because the point is that people the only change she has made is that earlier when people met her, she would say, Rahul se bhi baat kar lena. Now she stopped saying that. But all that she has done from 98 was keeping the seat warm for Rahul Gandhi.
And she doesn't know what else to do.
Exactly.
In other words, she doesn't have an alternative to what she's been doing for the last 16 years.
Yes, yeah.
Let me put it like this, and I'm picking up on the point you ended with, and I'm building onto it what Smita Gupta said a moment ago. To what extent does this reflect the fact that Rahul simply has failed to relate, debate, analyze, and sit with his own party and work out what went wrong? And secondly, what now needs to be done to put things right? And that has created frustration, leading to people speaking out, be it indiscreet or not, doesn't matter, but that frustration is what is now emerging on the front pages.
Current Congress people will tell you that it is still very difficult to get through to Rahul Gandhi. His accessibility has not improved, and the research on the people who research legislatures are saying he has not. What has he done in the first 100 days? Let's turn it over. He has not asked one question in Parliament, and he has not participated in one debate in Parliament. Now the question becomes, and I don't want to say, but he did sleep in Parliament. Now I'm just saying to you that if these things, now what kind of message is going across with this? I think it's also coming from Sonia Gandhi. She has not been able to figure out what exactly happened. She said very candidly that I knew we were going to do badly, but this is a big disappointment, it's very painful, etc. So there is something which they have not followed. What happened to India? Is this a new India?
Dilip Patranka, let me put that question a bit more pointedly to you. Would you agree that Rahul Gandhi and no doubt his mother Sonia Gandhi have mishandled the post-defeat period, and as a result they failed to respond to their own party's very obvious and very understandable concerns?
Karan, the Congress party for several years now has failed to acknowledge, let alone to adapt to very major paradigm shifts that have taken place in India's society, in India's economy, and in India's politics. Right from the time you go back to the Rajiv Gandhi period, the Shah Bagho case, the opening of the locks in Ayodhya, down to the present day, to Mandal afterwards, the Congress has failed to acknowledge that there has been regional parties that have come up, there has been the Dalit vote has gone away from them, the Muslim vote has deserted them. This talk of Rahul Gandhi, of the poor, the Dalits, etc., no longer matters because they're newer elites that have come up in this country. And the Congress has not been able to adapt to these new realities. And my feeling is that, at the moment, the big tussle between the so-called of the older generation and the younger generation, etc., this is all shadow boxing. The fact is, and I think Nalini mentioned the Antony report. The Antony report tells you that the party is in no position. It cannot bring itself to admit that it has failed to grasp what has been changing in this country for the past 20 years.
Can I interrupt? When you say the party has failed to respond to the changing reality, the shifting ground, the fact that India is a different country to what the Congress perceives it to be, aren't you actually saying, without saying so, that the onus for that failure must fall on, the responsibility must fall on Sonia Gandhi? Because the party couldn't have changed without her actively pushing it to change.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think, this business of collective responsibility, which is the mantra that the Congress has been using, that is a non-starter. The fact is, at the topmost level of the party is the Gandhi family, the mother, the son, and the daughter. They have to now come up and say, this is where we failed. This is where we refuse, for example, to cultivate, to nurture talent in our state. India is a new federal country. You need regional leaders. You need leaders from different communities. The high command politics doesn't work any longer. None of this has been taken into account by this party so far.
You know, Bacha Sen, looking down the road, Congress faces critical elections in Haryana and Maharashtra, then Jharkhand and Kashmir, and it's likely to lose all of them. Therefore, will the questions about Rahul Gandhi's commitment and his capability, and beyond that, the questions that are inevitably going to ask about Sonia Gandhi, will get worse and, in fact, more embarrassing?
Well, you see, first of all, we had a round of by-elections, elections recently, and the most significant thing there was, while the BJP did worse than it, it slid back compared to the Lok Sabha elections, was that the Gandhi family never campaigned. So whatever little happened, and the Congress...
They claim that the Gandhis never campaign in by-elections, but that's not true. There are several by-elections where the Gandhis have
I'm talking about the latest round in Bihar. I don't recall that Rahul Gandhi went in the forefront and was actually campaigning. The thing is, also the Congress really didn't do tremendously well. It was Lalu and Nitish who
So when Haryana and Maharashtra happened, will these
that's the thing. That's the thing. They should say that the Congress has a crisis of leadership. It suddenly realizes that it has this family which has failed them. And you have problems with Haryana, with Bhupinder Singh Hooda, and the thing that they should be doing is to focus on the leadership at the state level. Forget about the Gandhi family.
But what you're also saying is that the differences of opinion, which I call divisions, and the questions about Rahul are going to get worse as the party loses in Haryana, Maharashtra, then Jharkhand, and then Kashmir.
But they should strengthen. What I'm saying is that the Gandhi family, since it's so important to the Congress, should stop becoming players and become umpires. That is, they don't either bat or bowl, but at least there should be umpires in Haryana where there's battle going on within the leadership.
Let me put it like this. There's a theory, Smita Gupta, that one of the reasons why these young dissenting young Turks, if one can call them dissenting young Turks, spoke out is because they want to ensure, by firing a shot in advance, that when things get even worse, following Haryana, Maharashtra, Jharkhand and Kashmir, you don't have a worse rupture in the party. That this is a warning shot in advance to try and ensure some measure of unity in silence as the road gets worse for Congress. Do you buy that theory?
Not really. And I don't think the situation can get any worse, really, because they know they're going to lose the 4 elections, which is why the changes within the party are not taking place right now.
But could they not lose the 4 elections disastrously, just like they lost the central election disastrously? So the outcome, in perception terms, will be a lot worse than what they thought it would be.
I don't think it can get worse, and I think they are waiting for these elections to be over to make the changes in the party. You know, whatever reshuffle, whether it's going to be a major one where all the older general secretaries go out, Rahul's people come in, or it's going to be a mixture. All that they're keeping it for after the elections, because they feel that they know that if they appoint anyone today, nobody is going to succeed in getting the party through these elections. So they don't want to be again confronted with that question.
But is it wise to postpone, for whatever reason, and allow the situation to fester and get worse? Because clearly, it's not a holding operation. The situation is getting worse day by day.
No, possibly it is festering. I don't disagree with that. But I'm telling you, the reason for they're delaying the restructuring of the party.
Let me put it the other way around. I know, Nalini Singh, you're a BJP supporting journalist. But that apart.
Let's debate that later.
We'll debate that later. That apart.
Off screen.
Would you agree that no party can tolerate its own general secretaries publicly criticizing its top leadership? And therefore, what you've seen, whether these 16 are acting independently or at the behest of Rahul Gandhi, is a natural response, because the level of indiscipline those general secretaries showed by criticizing their top leadership is unacceptable to any party.
How conventional you are sounding, Karan, when you say this. Today, why would a general secretary and etc. not be able to talk? This is the
against his own party's top leadership in public?
Not against his top leadership. He's actually saying that things are going wrong. Please heed me. In the world of internet,
he's saying the top boy made mistakes and got them wrong.
Yes, absolutely. Because let me quote you something. Do you remember? Congress party was called a mass movement that has turned into a feudal oligarchy. By who? By Rajiv Gandhi. And today, 25 years after he's gone, you see that it is in a much worse shape. So if somebody says the emperor has no clothes, it's quite all right. But I want to come back to one small thing. You're saying Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, they've got a coterie, and Sonia Gandhi has actually nurtured that coterie, or she's worked through that mechanism. And I don't need to name the 4 or 5 people.
But what's the point about the coterie you're making?
I'm saying that this was a stranglehold which Sonia Gandhi knew about. It was convenient. Okay. See, status, I just finished this in 10 seconds. Status quo suited Sonia Gandhi tremendously. She became the Queen of India. Status quo does not suit Rajiv Gandhi. This is his turf is, he's going
Rahul,
up.
you mean?
I'm sorry, Rahul Gandhi. His turf is, he's going up the down escalator. I mean, that's what he's doing just now.
It's a very colourful phrase. Rahul Gandhi is going up the down escalator. Dilip Padgaonkar, whether you subscribe to that interpretation of Rahul Gandhi's predicament, what do you see looking down the road as the future of Rahul Gandhi in the Congress party?
So long as the Modi government performs well, Rahul Gandhi's image will continue to be dented. But assuming for a moment that the Modi government begins to falter, I do not think that the Congress and Rahul Gandhi in particular would be in any position to exploit that factor. So, damned if you do, damned if you don't. That is the current predicament of the Congress party.
In which case, if he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't, why isn't inaction the best policy?
And in fact, on the contrary, action would be the best policy. He should try and, I mean, if
but that's damned if you do.
No, I disagreed. At this moment of time, he's down, as Nalini said, he's not just going up down the up escalator. He's reached rock bottom.
It was the other way around, up the down escalator.
He's reached somewhere. I mean, he's fallen off the escalator.
The Greeks called it the plight of Sisyphus.
Quite right. He's fallen off the escalator or fallen off the map. So he has nothing to lose just now. He has nothing to lose. On the contrary, what he can do, which is probably his capabilities are lacking, is he can sit and make sure. For instance, Haryana is still not totally lost. There is a division between the INLD and the BJP. These guys are doing nothing. The Akali Dal is going to be campaigning for the INLD as an ally of the BJP. The Congress is doing nothing. The leadership is at odds with each other. Okay. And it's the same in Maharashtra. And the Congress again doing nothing. What's the point of focusing on what Rahul Gandhi is going to do when Bhupinder Hooda is going down the tube? Prithviraj Chauhan is going down the tube.
Listening to what you just heard so articulately from Badshah Sen and the earlier answer from Dilip Padgaonkar, what is the state of mind, perhaps I should say the state of despair of congressmen themselves? They're not going to speak in public and television studios, but you're a journalist who actually has access to them behind closed doors. What's the state of mood in the Congress party?
It's very, very low. I mean, some people, the only point of debate is it worse than 77 or is it little better than 77?
Surely it has to be worse. They've got far fewer seats.
No, it's some of them will tell you it's better because Rahul and Sonia won their seats and Ms. Indira Gandhi and Sanjay lost. But the fact is that today, this is the first time a non-Congress party has won a majority in India. So, that is something the Congress has to confront. I mean, earlier it used to be Congress versus the rest. From now on, it's BJP versus... Of course, you don't consider
Janta either a non-Congress party or maybe not a party.
It was not a party. I mean,
Let's not quibble over that.
Yeah.
The real point is, the mood of congressmen, when they're prepared to speak openly behind closed doors, is actually one of deep depression.
And that's whether they're young or whether they're old.
Not only have run right out of time,
just
to
say that the congressmen are hoping that this is a hologram. This is not Rahul Gandhi, this is Rahul Gandhi's hologram. And if I were Rahul Gandhi or his hologram, I would go for two things. One is your regional leaders, strengthen them and make alliances.
And number two?
And make alliances.
Okay, I'm going to give you full marks for your wit today. Climbing up the down escalator has to be, I must tell
you. What about a
hologram?
No, but climbing up the down escalator is the best description of what I call the predicament of Rahul Gandhi. Thank you very much for that addition to political vocabulary. My thanks to all three of you coming to studio. My thanks also to Dilip Padgaonkar. And there we end this particular episode. If you have been, thanks for watching. Goodbye. Good night.